Just look at this League One table. There is so much to play for in the race for the automatics and the playoffs. It pretty much includes the whole of the top half of the division. Today, we're going to try and predict it. We're going to dissect this League One promotion race. Do make sure to hit that thumbs up button. We'll go for 173 likes on this video. And do make sure to subscribe as we're trying to hit 30k by May. So like and subscribe and let's get into it. Just look how tight it is in this race for promotion. Let's go through it team by team before I give you my prediction. Let's start with Exeter City then, who are currently 11th, and they've had a fantastic season coming up and more than consolidating after promotion from League 2 last year. They've been brilliant, but if you look at this table, you will think to yourself, they're not really in this discussion, but we'll give them a mention as if they were to win their final 9 games, because they have got a game in hand on most. It would take them up to 76 points. So it's a matter of, let's just see where Exeter are in the next 3 or 4 games. But like I say, they'd probably have to win every game from now on in. But the thing that's given them maybe a glimmer of hope is that 5th and 6th place Bolton and Derby have been wobbling a bit. So we'll just take it game by game. I don't think Exeter will do it, but we'll give them a mention because they've been brilliant this season. In 10th place, you've got Shrewsbury Town. Now, Shrewsbury are 6 points better off than Exeter, and they also have a game in hand on the 6 teams directly above them. Shrewsbury have been very good this season, but in their last 8 games they've only amassed 11 points, so it's not going to be enough for them to crack into that top 6. They've got big games coming. 6 of their final 9 are against other teams in the top half, so maybe if Shrewsbury do win those head-to-head games against teams in this discussion, they might find themselves with a chance with 3 or 4 games to go. They might have cut the gap a bit, but once again, it does seem unlikely. But Shrewsbury, once again, if they were to win all of their final games, it would get them to 82 points, which would definitely be enough. I'm looking at it thinking 78, 79 should be enough, but Shrewsbury would have to win 8 out of 9. Shrewsbury fans, can you see that happening? Next up, we've got Portsmouth, who are currently in 9th place. They've played a game more than Shrewsbury and Exeter, but they are on 58 points. Their form is very good. We must say Portsmouth have been very good. In their last 8 games, they've picked up 16 points, which is 2 points per game. And if they were to win all of their final games, it'd also get them to 82 points. Not that I think they will, but their form is good, and they have a very favourable run in here, with 2 of their final 8 being against top half teams. So there's a real chance here Portsmouth could go on a blistering run and get themselves within shooting distance, and their final 2 games are against those top half sides. As I say, Derby and Wycombe are their final 2 games, so if they get themselves to just a few points off those teams, they could do it. They could switch the script in the final 2 games. So Portsmouth have a chance, and they've been looking very good lately. The next team we'll mention are Wycombe Wanderers. They're 3 points better off than Portsmouth, also played 38 games, but at this moment in time their form is not as good. They had the change in management, and in their last 8 games they've only picked up 11 points. But despite that, Wycombe are still only 3 points off that top 6, and with 8 games to go, anything is possible here. Only 2 of their final 8 games are against teams in the top half as well, and like I say, that game against Portsmouth towards the end could be absolutely massive. I think Wycombe have got a chance. Despite their poor run of form, they are still involved in this. 7th place are Peterborough United, and Peterborough do excite me. They've been brilliant, and they're now only 1 point off that top 6, and what a win it was against Derby County last time out. Their form is brilliant. It's the best outside of the current top 4. They've picked up 16 points in their last 8 games, so once again 2 points per game from Peterborough United. Meanwhile, Derby and Bolton's form over the last 8 games isn't as good, and we'll come on to them in a minute, but I do like the look of Peterborough, and I do think they will make the top 6. I'll come on to my prediction in a bit, but they are flying. Only 3 of their final 8 games are against top half sides. They've got big games coming, but the way they're going and the amount of goals they're scoring, I could see them doing it, and they've got a very good goal difference as well. So Peterborough United for me are the team outside the top 6 with a very, very strong chance at this moment in time. 6th place you find Derby County. Derby once again have had a pretty good season on the whole, but their last couple of results, especially losing to Peterborough, have opened this discussion right back up. It's only 10 points in their last 8 games, which is the worst return out of any team in the top half of League One here. 4 of their final 8 games are against top half sides, so it's going to be really tight here for Derby County. They're in a position where it's technically in their hands, but they'll see Peterborough are going like a train at the moment, and they've got more favourable fixtures. Funnily enough, I do think it could be between Derby and Bolton for 6th place at the moment, despite them both currently being in that top 6. Bolton are the next team. You can draw a lot of parallels between them and Derby. They've also had a pretty poor run of form lately. It's 11 points in their last 8, which isn't exactly playoff form. But as I say, they're currently in that top 6, just ahead of Derby on goal difference, just ahead of Peterborough by 1 point. 2 of their final 8 games are against top half sides. So Bolton do have a good opportunity to go back to winning ways here in the final stretch of games. They have got the Pizza Cup game against Plymouth where they'll be watching everyone else play a game more, and that could be interesting. If teams drop points, then Bolton really have a massive game in hand. If everyone else seems to pick up wins, then Bolton really need to go back to winning ways pretty quickly. Above Bolton, the next team in the league you find is Barnsley, and now this is where we come on to the automatic discussion. I cannot see a way in which Barnsley don't wrap up the top 6. They've got to be looking for the top 2 now, especially the form they're in. From the last 8 games, they've picked up the most points out of anyone in the league with 22 points. It's a nearly flawless from Barnsley. They are a few points off those top 2 at the moment, but have a game in hand on Sheffield Wednesday and 2 games in hand on Plymouth. Technically, it's not in Barnsley's hands, but we all know if Barnsley were to win their final 10 games, that'd definitely be enough. I could see 8 wins being enough here for Barnsley. It will come down to how the other teams perform. 4 of their final 10 games are against top half sides, so it's a decent run in here. In the form they're in, they might fancy their chances. I have enjoyed Barnsley, and if they don't go up through the automatics, you've got to favour Barnsley to be one of the strongest teams in the playoffs. Next up, you've got Ipswich Town, and Ipswich have made it very interesting. About a month or 2 ago, we were thinking Ipswich's top 2 chances were fading, but their form is also very good like Barnsley's. 20 points in their last 8 games, including 6 wins in a row. Ipswich are absolutely flying. However, out of all the teams in the top 10 here, they have the toughest run-in to the end. They've got 9 games left, and 5 of them are against top half sides, so it's a very tricky run here for Ipswich, but the form they're in, they'll have loads of confidence, and why not? Ipswich could do it as well. They're only 3 points off Sheffield Wednesday, 5 points off Plymouth, but with a game in hand on them. Next up, you've got Sheffield Wednesday, and they've fallen back into the discussion of whether they'll just wrap up the top 2. I've said since the ball got rolling this season that I do fancy Sheffield Wednesday to go up automatically, and I did back them to win the league before the season even started, and they've been proving me right. However, in their last 3 games, it's just 1 point, and that defeat to Forest Green was a really weird one, especially after they gave 3 points to Barnsley as well, so it wasn't a good week for Sheffield Wednesday. Once again, it's in their hands to wrap up automatics, and it's in their hands to win the title as well. Despite being 2 points off Plymouth, they do have a game in hand on them. I do like their run in here. Only 3 of their final 9 games are against top half teams, and they're actually Sheffield Wednesday's final 3 games as well here, so there's a chance they could win 5 or 6 of the next 6, and they could be quite comfortable going into those final 3 games. They've picked up 16 points in their last 8, so it's 2 points per game for Sheffield Wednesday over that stretch of time. The same is said for Plymouth Argyle. 16 points in their last 8. They're top of the league with 80 points with 8 games to go. They could possibly get up to 104 points this season if they win their final 8 games. Not that I think they'll win 8 out of 8, but I do fancy Plymouth to wrap up the top 2 at this moment in time. They've got the nicest run in here out of anyone in this top 6. Only 2 of their final 8 games are against top half teams. Plymouth have been fantastic. Can they just hold their nerve at this moment in time? I think they will. Let's come on to my prediction then. This is what I've got then for the conclusion of the playoff race. Do make sure to share your opinions down below. You might not agree with mine, but instead of whinging at me, just let me know what you think will be the conclusion down below. As I say, guys, we won't know until the season is over. But I've gone for Exeter City to come up short. As I said, they'd have to win all of their games, and even that might not be enough. Shrewsbury Town to just fall short of 70 points, but still a strong finish here. I do like the look of Portsmouth, but with them currently being 6 points off and 8 games to go, I wonder if they're just going to come up a little bit short. I could see them maybe overtaking Wycombe, but I've got Portsmouth in 9th place here with 74 points. As I say, if they have a good sprint now until those final 2 games, it could be in their hands. Wycombe I've put in 8th place with 75 points. I just wonder if I'd have put them in the top 6 if Gareth Ainsworth was still there. I know their form's not great, but their fixtures are quite nice, so I can still see them accumulating a few points, but maybe just not enough to get into that top 6. And I've gone for Bolton to be the team to just miss out. As I say, you could flip a coin here for Bolton or Derby, or maybe even Peterborough, but I do think Bolton might just come up a little bit short. I wonder if the Pizza Cup game could be a distraction and they'll fall behind a little bit on the fixtures, but they have still got a nice run, so I've got them to get to 77 points. That could still be enough, but I've got Derby County to just wrap up a top 6 place here with 78 points. What's worth pointing out is Bolton and Derby's goal difference is so close at this moment in time. If they were to finish level on points, which they're currently level on points at the moment, then one of them could miss out by the thinnest of margins. I do think Derby County County will just do enough here to get over the line. It's just about wrapping up the playoffs now that the automatics have gone, and it would be great to see Derby County in the playoffs. Can they bounce back at the first attempt? And as you can see here, I've got Peterborough United to wrap up 5th place. I like their run of form, I like their fixtures, I like their front line. I think a lot of things are pointing towards Peterborough being in that top 6. I've got them to get to 79 points, which I think would be enough. What has certainly helped Peterborough is the poor run of form of Derby and Bolton. However, if those two were to suddenly improve, it would make it obviously a bit more difficult for Peterborough, but I do think they're going to wrap up 5th place with 79 points. So then, this is it. On to the automatic discussion. I'm going with this. I'm going to go for Ipswich Town to finish 4th. I like their run of form. They've been absolutely fantastic, but they do have the toughest run of games here until the end. I've got them to get to 93 points, which I think wouldn't be enough. If they were to get to 95 or 96, I think it could be enough, but I've got Ipswich Town to just fall short. The quality at the top is so much here. I think the top 2 having a nice run in might just keep them where they are. 3rd place, I've gone for Barnsley. I do like the look of Barnsley, and as I say, it might be between them or Ipswich in terms of who wins the playoffs after this, because their form is fantastic. I just think Barnsley have still got quite a lot of work to do here. They've got 10 games left, and as I say, if they were to win 8 of them, I think that would be enough. But if they win 7 and only draw 1 or something like that, it might not be enough, considering the high standards that these top 4 are setting. 95 points not to be enough for the top 2 would be insane, but that is honestly, as I say, the standard that these guys are setting. I think, as I say, if Barnsley don't wrap up the top 2, they're going to be my favourites for the playoffs, but we'll wait and see. Barnsley fans, share your thoughts. It could come down to if Plymouth or Sheffield Wednesday don't hold their nerve, but I've gone for them to do it. I'm going to put Plymouth in 2nd place, just behind Sheffield Wednesday on goal difference. I think it could be tight between these two. It wouldn't surprise me if Plymouth won the league as well, but I'm sure their fans will just be happy to wrap up that top 2, considering how hard it is to do that at the moment with the speed that all of these teams in the top 4 are going. As I say, Plymouth Argyle's run is quite nice here, with only 2 of their final 8 games being top half teams. If they can win 5 or 6 of them, I think it would be enough. And I'm also going to put Sheffield Wednesday on 96 points. I do like Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going to stand by my argument that they're going to win the league, but they cannot allow this wobble to continue for long. I think Sheffield Wednesday will bounce back. I think they could win 6 of their final 9 here, or maybe 5 wins and a few draws, and that would be enough. Anything more than 6 wins will definitely be enough, and Sheffield Wednesday could still make 100 points, but once again, I'm sure the Wednesday fans will just be happy to wrap up the top 2 this season. So then guys, there you go. As I say, this league is absolutely bonkers. Instead of getting angry at me if you don't like my predictions, do share your predictions down below. As I say, it'll be interesting to see who is right at the end of the season. But as I say, if you've enjoyed, do make sure to drop a like and do make sure to subscribe. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.